say nothing to nobody.
Everything all right here?
Excuse me?
Sure, I'll excuse you for 25%.
You want me to put another hole in your head?
Folks swing for rustling livestock. 25%.
15.
20.
18.
Done. 25%.
Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome in once again. I am ecstatic to share with you the newest release from Jack Wolf Knives. This will be the Pioneer Jack, and it's going to be dropping at dealers on Friday, September 22nd, 2023 at 2 p.m. Eastern. Now that the important business is out of the way, let's get into the knife. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I did do a quick unboxing of this just a few days ago. If you didn't see that video, go back and check it out. Inside of the tin, we will get the requisite knife and microfiber cloth. The leather slip, which I still think is one of the most vital things in all of the packaging. And stickers. We all love stickers. All right, let's get these things out of the way and get into the knife. Now, what you're going to be getting into here is something quite a bit different than what Jack Wolf has been doing in the past. Number one, with the materials and finishes. There's still going to be a lot of really cool carbon fiber choices like we're accustomed to. There is a new Ultim choice, which is what I think is a very, very bold move for a classic traditional slip joint that, of course, we know Jack Wolf brings into the modern era with the designs and the materials. And Ultim certainly does that. It's a material that's been hitting really, really big over the past 6 months to a year. But this time around, we're going to take a look at smooth, plain, bead-blasted titanium. And I am very excited about this because this is a look that a lot of us get into with our tactical folders. So now to be able to do that in your accompanying slip joint that's going to be in your pocket, maybe this is going to be the perfect match to your Sabenza or something along those lines, that's just a plain Jane. Except this has one little upgrade that out of all of the Jack Wolf knives that I own, I don't have. This is the hand rub satin blade. Now, if you go back and look at any of the other Jack Wolf knives, if you're getting a satin blade, what you're getting is the belt satin. So it actually shows the grind lines. But beginning, I think it was the previous release, or maybe 2 months ago, Ben decided to add one or two options that had the hand rub satin. And while I really, really liked that, I opted for the black PVD because I loved the Kieranite and black combination. I still think that is the most modern looking out of all the Jack Wolf knives as far as material and color combinations go. But this is really, I think, going to find a home with people that carry an EDC knife, that carry a tactical style knife with them all day, every day, no matter what. Because at some point, no matter how you collect, even if you're buying only the flashiest stuff, Timascus this and Pearl this and whatever, at some point you have a really good plain Jane frame lock or liner lock in your collection that you love to carry, that you love to use. And this is going to be the perfect companion piece for that. Now, let's get into the, this is about the only brand that I don't have to do the TLDR with, the pros and the cons, because I've yet to find a con on any of the Jack Wolf knives that I own. just think that they're utterly fantastic. And this is the brand that turned my head, that changed my mind about traditional knives. I don't typically like traditionals, and I certainly never had any interest whatsoever in slip joints. And then one day, out of the blue, QSP had sent me, I think it was called the Hedgehog, and I still have it. It was the first slip joint that really kind of captured my attention in the past 5 years. And only before that was the Andre de Villiers Butcher slip joint. And that was because it too was very, very modern. So anyway, I got that QSP, and I actually enjoyed my time with it. It was really, really cool. Had fun reviewing it. Didn't carry it a lot, but I did carry it some. And then my buddy Kevin, Lefty EDC here on YouTube, says, hey, if you're ever going to get into slip joints, you need to check out Jack Wolf knives. I'm like, no, I am not getting into slip joints. I don't like traditionals. I don't like slip joints. It's just not my thing. I'll stick with my one-handed openers, my flippers, things like that. The more tactical style knives, that's what I enjoy. He's like, I'm telling you, man, I was the same way. I didn't like them. I promise you, if you try one, you're going to fall massively in love with them. Let me get you in touch with my good friend, Benjamin Belkin. He owns the brand. You guys talk and figure something out and see if this is something that may start to interest you. So I went, okay. I took a look at what they were making, and the very first one that I got was the Cyborg. And I think this may still be the best overall representation of what the brand brings to the table. It is a slip joint, but the way that this is designed, it doesn't follow a traditional pattern. Everything else you see here on the table follows a traditional pattern. And this was a very modern, very aggressively designed knife that Ben designed himself, and it wasn't based on anything else. And I went, man, that's awesome. Very cutting edge, modern design, modern materials with the titanium and the fat carbon. What's not to love? And that started my absolute addiction. That one, along with my Vampire Jack, are two that I carry probably the most, especially in the very beginning. I like the Vampire because it's a nice, fuller-sized frame in the hand. Feels a little bit bigger than you would, be accustomed to. And I've gone back and forth with all of these, and I've carried every single one religiously. I now carry a slip joint every single day in my pocket, no matter whatever else I'm carrying. If I'm carrying a fixed blade or a folder or a fixed blade and a folder, I've still got a Jack Wolf in my left pocket. So that brings us to this one. What we're looking at is a Sod Buster pattern. And the big deviation from that pattern is going to be, just like with the this one right here, is going to be this longer bolster. Even though this is a full titanium knife, so it's a faux bolster, it doesn't have covers on it like all the rest of these do. You've got that longer Barlow style bolster. So it's kind of a hybrid. And if you're somebody that's been collecting, or you just owned and enjoyed over your lifetime different slip joints, you're familiar with both of those names, you're familiar with the pattern. But I can tell you right now, feeling this in the hand, having this in titanium, that wonderful bead blasted finish, which gives you a little bit of tactility, a little bit of grip to it, this is going to change your mind about what maybe your grandfather's slip joint was. Another big upgrade for them is the fact that you're getting into now, for the past, I think, 6 months, if I'm not mistaken, S90V. So you're getting into a fantastic steel that holds its edge for a good long time. As I've mentioned in the past with other knives with S90V, it may not be the easiest steel to resharpen, but it's not particularly difficult. It's just, it's going to be harder than like 154 CM or 440C or S35VN. So it's a little bit more of a challenge to bring up that burr. But the great thing is, Because it does hold its edge for such a long time, it's really a low maintenance steel that you're not going to have to worry about resharpening much anyway. Let's go ahead and get into the specs and talk about the size and all that kind of good stuff, since I already started talking about blade steel. You're looking at a closed length of 3.79 inches. This is a hollow ground drop point S90V blade, which is 2.93 inches in length, and it weighs about 2.5 ounces, and that's going to vary a little bit between the different materials that are chosen. So if you get, like, let's say, the Ultim covers, that's probably, I would assume, going to be the lightest, if not very, very close, because the rest are going to be in carbon fiber, and obviously carbon fiber is extraordinarily lightweight as well. As far as the pull and the walk and talk, as you just heard, the walk and talk is fantastic. This is one of the strongest pulls that I have out of my collection. Now, I am not an absolute 100% slip joint expert and all that kind of stuff, so I can't give you on a scale of 1 to 10 how strong the pull is. All I know is it's a stronger, it's a heavier pull than everything else that I've had. And the walk and talk is amazing. The nail nick is good and accessible. It's not as accessible as some various blade shapes are going to be, but again, that is going to be dependent on the blade shape. One of my favorites is the low drag jack. This was the very first one I got, and this one, it's very easy to access the nail nick just because of the way the blade is shaped. And there are some that are a little bit more difficult. Yeah, the javelina, it's a little bit harder to get into the nail nick, but again, it's all about the shape of the blade. Positive half stop. And one of the other great things is the attention to detail that Ben pays to everything in the building of these knives. As you'll notice here, everything is perfectly flush when it's open. It's perfectly flush at the half stop, and perfectly flush again on the close. One of the reasons that I think most people are going to enjoy this, slip joint lovers or not, is the way that this frame feels, the shape of it. Now, I wish it was a little bit softened on a couple of these peaks here, but it's the shape of this handle that gives me the confidence, the same way my Vampire Jack does, that I can actually do quite a bit of cutting through thicker, heavier material, cardboard, leather, something like that, because of the way this fits in my hand. It's a little bit of a larger handle length than some. I'll give you a good example here. I could put them back to back. Considerable size difference there. And the shape of it, it just drops in the hand perfectly. And I don't care what kind of knife I'm reviewing, whether it's a fixed blade or a folder, no matter what it is, ergonomics is always one of the biggest things for me. It's got to fit well in the hand. It's got to be comfortable, and it's got to be utilitarian. It's got to be good where I can get a good grip on it and do some actual cutting. And this is absolutely fantastic. So now, speaking directly to those of you that already are collecting Jack Wolf knives, no matter which ones you've gotten, I think this is probably going to end up being a fan favorite because of the profile, the pattern of this knife, the shape of the frame. Up until that point, I think the most comfortable in the hand has probably been the javelina, which is this one right here, because of this very gentle curve, this pickle-shaped frame, as it were. I love the way that it fits the contours of my hand, and no matter how I'm holding it, if it's a pinch grip, if, saber grip, hammer grip, whatever, it's just it just fits my hand so well. And it's so comfortable. And did I forget to clean my blade? Yeah, it's only a little bit dirty. Anyway, as you see, I do cut with this knife. It feels so damn good. Now, I really haven't had any Jack Wolf knives that I think don't feel good in the hand, but that has been the absolute winner for me since it came out just a few months ago. As far as overall use, the comfort in the hand, it's to me, this is everything. Although I'll be honest, even though this has only been out a month, I've really been enjoying this one as well. Even though it's swept upward, it has a kind of a reverse feel to it. It still feels really good in the hand. Anyway, I don't want to get completely off track here, but for me, ergonomics is always going to be a key. And for those of you that do collect Jack Wolf knives or collect slip joints of any brand, this is going to be one of your absolute go-tos. It's going to be on you at all times. It's going to be accessible at all times. You're always going to want to use it for your cutting. You're going to have some that are showy and pretty and flashy, have certain materials or certain shapes to them, certain profiles that are going to be some of your favorites. But this is probably going to be the one that you're going to want to be able to reach for the most often to actually use. Now, there's going to be a jigged titanium version. There is this plain Jane bead blasted version. And I don't recall what all the other options are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop them up on the screen right here as I'm editing the video. One of the most interesting things about this particular finish is because it is bead blasted titanium, it looks really clean, really sterile, and really handsome when it arrives. Now, I always carry my Jack Wolf knives in their leather slip. But if you're the kind that doesn't, you don't want the additional bulk of that in your pocket, and you're worried about scratching this finish up, don't be. Let it get scratched up. Let it get some marks on it. Let it get some age. Let it get some, it's not going to patina per se, but let it get those beauty marks all over it because it's going to add a whole new layer of appreciation when you look at this knife. So I'm excited to see how it's going to age for people. It's not going to age for me because, like I said, it doesn't matter which one I'm carrying. It's always in the leather slip, and I don't want anything just banging up against it for no reason. I don't mind banging up my knives, scratching up my knives, dulling my blades, whatever, because that's normal wear and tear. But I don't see any sense in just banging it up to do nothing more than to bang it up. I'm not here to impress anybody. I don't need to go, hey, I use my stuff. I do, but I also know how to take care of my stuff. But this is one finish that I think is going to age very, very nicely for a lot of people that do appreciate that look. And you could also, not that I'm suggesting that you take your knives apart, however, especially with these slip joints, because they are difficult to get back together without hurting yourself. But if you have that skill set, you could always tumble these and put a nice stone wash finish over it as well. I think it would look really, really good. Anyway, I know I'm rambling at this point. For me, it's another 100% winner. I have never seen a Jack Wolf knife that I didn't love. It's hard to always come out here and have nothing but glowing positive comments for any brand, because I'm really not that guy. But at this point, Jack Wolf Knives has done no wrong. I mean, they even recently made their first locking knife to step away from slip joints a little bit. And holy hell, did they nail that. Fantastic action, great lockup, handsome look all the way around. And as Ben likes to say, it's not called Jack Wolf slip joints, it's called Jack Wolf knives. So there's nothing that's immediately a no when Ben is concepting new knives to make. He just put a poll up in the Jack Wolf Knives Facebook group and asked people, hey, how would you feel? Or no, I think somebody had suggested it, my apologies. And somebody said, hey, I think it'd be kind of cool if there was a Jack Wolf fixed blade. And he's like, well, that's not an impossibility. It's not something I'd really planned on, but again, it's Jack Wolf knives, not Jack Wolf slip joints, so anything is possible. I could pull anything out of my hat. Anyway, them's my thoughts on the knife. Another absolute home run. If you don't understand why a slip joint is $300, because I will admit that is not a tiny, tiny price, then you need to get any Jack Wolf. It doesn't matter which one it is. Get one in your hands, feel it, listen to it, cut with it, experience this modern retelling of classic designs in modern materials, and understand why those of us that love Jack Wolf knives are absolute crazy about them. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now. Thank you for joining me as always, and I'll see you on the next video.